Yo. What's up, everybody? Can you hear me? Welcome to the stream. We're doing a very short stream today. Wait, am I out of focus? Maybe just about an hour. Got started a little later than I wanted to, but as soon as the stream is over, I will be dropping my new video. Some of you may have, for those that have been around or paying attention, you'll know that I took a bit of a break, about a month break from making videos. You may not have noticed because sometimes there are large gaps in between my videos, but it did happen. But the break is over, and we're coming out with some new content. I had to get back into the groove. I feel like I'm out of focus, so I'm gonna try to fix that. Wait. That looks better. Anyway, we can hang out for a little while. Hope everyone's been okay as possible. I feel like it's already February 26th. This month has zoomed by for me. I don't know about you. I truly feel like it was just, you know, New Year's Day. What was my motivation behind my upcoming video? Well, I don't want to spoil what the video's about, but like a lot of my videos, it is just kind of me addressing a subject that I feel like doesn't get addressed in the correct way. Or at least in a way that I would like to see it addressed, so. But yeah, for all those that are asking, my break was good. It is a bit jarring sometimes to take a break from something that you've been kind of just doing nonstop for years and years. Not that I've, never taken a break before. I'm lucky enough that in this career, I have a lot of, flexibility to take a vacation kind of whenever I want. But I don't think I've ever taken like a full just month off. At least not in the past few years or so. But I figured that it was necessary because you see these people on the internet talking about burnout all the time. And I'm not really burned out, but I could see how that could happen. And I could feel, the energy levels were starting to be affected. And sometimes it's like, oh man, I just don't feel like, doing all this research and things like that. But But sometimes you take a little break. What's your favorite movie? I always say that my favorite movie is Kill Bill. I should probably think about that question more. That's just been my like go-to answer, so I don't have to think about it. But I haven't really seen that many movies, really. But I really like Quentin Tarantino, and my favorite Quentin Tarantino movie is Kill Bill, so. These shadows. This little rogue little mini dread just hanging around here. Maybe if I can incorporate it to a existing dread, it'll just fuse. Migraines suck ass? Oh, I know they do. I had a migraine not too long ago. Luckily, I don't have them like chronically or all the time. Hello, Miss Carruthers. Did I hear about the Superman reboot? I did not. I pretty much have spent all of today doing the final touches of my video, so I have no idea about anything that was announced today. I also went to the grocery store briefly earlier. That's kind of what my day has been. I just want to say that you're a really cool guy. Well, I appreciate that. I'm sure you're really cool also. You're in Tarantino. I actually have not seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I need to see it. It is one of those things that I plan to see. I don't watch movies that much, so it's not like a big like thing that I do. But you know, obviously, I would want to see the Tarantino movie. But I've just missed it, and then it just slipped my mind, and you just kind of reminded me that it even existed. So I should make a note and see it. I've seen all the others though. What's up, Tweedlebeetle? Do I regret my stance on Sam Harris? No. Why would I regret it? Jack Knight has a joke about how government policy harming black families unintentionally spawned a generation of pro-femme dudes raised by strong women. That is interesting, and it's actually related to what my upcoming video is talking about. So I'll refrain from commenting because maybe the upcoming video will give some light on what I might have to say about that. One more Tarantino film and then he's done. I feel like he said that about the last one, but I'm not sure. Who knows? It's up to him. He'll probably keep making stuff. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he feels like he has nothing left to prove. I just feel like it's if you just really if you love what you do, it's hard to just quit doing it, you know? Unless you just feel like you have nothing else to say. So this thing does this a lot. I don't know if these people are in the chat. It like catches up with previous people who became homies of the channel. But if you are in the chat, James Sugarbroad and Sophie Morris Gillett, thank you for supporting the channel. Your criticism of Sam was nothing but ad hominem attacks. So no, it wasn't. I don't remember everything I said in that video. Maybe you could argue that some stuff was ad hominem, but I know that it's false that it was nothing but ad hominem attacks. Maybe you're misusing the term ad hominem, but ad hominem implies that you are attacking a person rather than their argument, and I know for a fact that that's factually untrue. There was entire stretches of the video. It's a pretty long video, but there are entire stretches of the video where I specifically pick apart his arguments. So I know that the video was nothing but ad hominem attacks. That's just false. But maybe there are a couple things in there that you might consider ad hominem. I'd have to go back and look back, but I doubt that that's what I did, because that's not usually how I argue or operate, but you never know. I'm trying to sharpen my focus, my perception of what I'm able to do, trusting that I'm moving forward each step I take, no matter how slowly. That seems like a good practice. What would I rate Biden out of 10 so far? I feel like it's too early to start rating people. This is so weird. Like the man has been president 1 month. I mean, there's already been some disappointing things, obviously, and we all knew, like when we all voted, we all knew that Joe Biden is, you know, establishment neoliberal. We knew that he was gonna do what he was gonna do, but what we're hoping for is for the progressive wing of the Democratic Party to pressure him and to get measures into bills over time. Like anybody that was expecting Joe Biden to completely fix everything in 1 month, I think you're being real silly. But I don't know. I feel like it's really early to start rating people. I think he's done some good things and some bad things. Like there's a lot of stuff that's just Democrats as usual. The foreign policy is still bad, but he's reversed a lot of the things that Trump has done. It looks like we're going to get another stimulus. It looks like the Democratic Congress is going to push for a minimum wage increase. We'll see how that works, though. You called him a dick. Did I call him a dick? Did I say Sam Harris is a dick? Doesn't seem like something that I would say. Maybe I did, though. You said that your disagreement was more based on his behavior than his belief. That's by definition an ad hominem attack. I think you need to go back and watch the video again. I think you're misquoting it and taking it out of context. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure that I said I began to be more okay with criticizing him because of his behavior and not his beliefs. But I didn't say that the entire disagreement with him was because of his behavior and not his beliefs. So you should probably go back and watch the video, because I don't think you either didn't like pay attention closely enough, or you're just misremembering it. I don't know if I called him a dick, but I'm sure that I may have said that something that he did was an example of him being a dick. Because, I mean, I think there's a difference between ad hominem and expressing an opinion on someone's behavior. Like I said, it's a 20-minute video. I think that's kind of the danger of doing the long form videos like that, is people can just kind of pick and choose the parts that they want to respond to and not take the video as a whole, and just ignore 90% of the video and just pick out certain parts. But I think any sort of good faith analysis of any kind of content like that requires watching the whole video and trying to understand what the overall point of the video is, rather than, you know, snatching out, you know, small sentences and responding directly to that. I feel like that's not a great, a good faith way to engage with any type of content. Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with criticizing people's behavior. I mean, I guess you could describe that as an insult, but I don't have a problem with that. I was dipping my feet into anime. The only anime that I have watched recently is One Punch Man, and I guess it's pretty cool. Yeah, I think that it's a misuse of ad hominem. I don't think that criticizing the way someone is a problem. So I don't know how else to respond to that. I'm still in the first season of One Punch Man. Disdain. I mean, if it came off as disdain, I can look into that. I strongly suspect that this is a personal interpretation rather than an objective interpretation. But disdain is definitely not the emotion that was at play there. Like, I rarely think about those people ever. Like, but you know, I won't discount your experience of watching the video. But what I will say is I don't think that saying something negative about another person is bad. Like, that's the whole point of a criticism. That's kind of the whole point of making a video designed to criticize people. You're gonna say bad things about them. It's kind of impossible to avoid. I also watched the first episode of My Hero Academia. And apparently that show gets better, but the first episode is pretty boring. Shasta, thank you for the 5. Is this your brother's music? Love it. Yes, it is. If you have access to the description below the video, you can check out his SoundCloud. It has some stuff on there. He doesn't put that much stuff on the internet, but there's some stuff available. If you're interested in like speaking with him or something, you can email me and I can give you his contact. But you gave no good reason to question his perception of Islam. You simply said you felt he was being insensitive. Again, I know for a fact that that's not true. Again, the video is 20 minutes long. I definitely said more than that. I think that probably I'm done with this line of conversation, because it seems clear to me that you either didn't watch the video or pay close enough attention to it, or you just kind of went into it already convinced that you were not going to engage with the arguments in good faith. And it seems a waste of my time to really to continue the conversation if you're misquoting my own video back to me. Because I mean, one of the main things about that video is because a lot of left-wing people do, I think, talk, and I even mention it in the video itself. I talk about how people criticize Sam Harris without really knowing what they're talking about, or without really even making any arguments, and like the whole point was to avoid doing that. Now, it's possible that I did not succeed in my goal. However, it's uncompelling when, you know, I know that I said certain things and people are telling me I didn't say certain things, or people are telling me that I said certain things when I know that I didn't say it. Have I seen the Boondocks? I definitely have, yeah. The Boondocks is great. Are people still into Sam Harris? I don't know. I haven't really kept up with him anytime recently. I'm sure he still has a, you know, big audience. People probably still listen to his podcast and stuff. Because of obsession with ideological purity, Sam Harris has been denounced by both the internet left and right because he can be found on both sides of the aisle. I don't know. Sam Harris is a very specific individual. It's hard to think of him in terms of a political, like fitting into some political box, which in many ways I kind of respect, because I feel the same way about myself a lot of the time. But I think that's why certain public figures you just have to speak about specifically, because they have very unique ways of going about things. I think a lot of people misuse logic terms and logical fallacies. Also, sometimes things are put into videos for humor reasons, and the point of a joke is that it's not entirely serious. But I don't need to get more into that, really. Great camera quality. Great quality camera. What is it? I'm glad you noticed. I have a new camera. It is the Blackmagic 4K. Pretty fucking awesome camera, dude. How do you think we can expand convos about race relations in this country and still including black people while also inviting and spotlighting other races, ethnicities, issues, and communities? The problem is we need to spotlight and signal boost people of other races. I can speak as a black person, and I can speak of, you know, the plight of black people and even the plight of black creators and public figures and stuff. But the issue is a lot of people just their voices get marginalized. And it's probably different depending on what the platform is. For example, YouTube, they've been doing this thing in February because it's Black History Month, and they have this thing called YouTube Black, where they spotlight black creators and all that stuff. And I think that there was this whole issue, a few years ago, where people were talking about how, like, LeftTube and how it's like full of white people. And ever since then, and ever since all of the Black Lives Matter stuff, there's been, more of a push to spotlight black creators. But, we don't see any of that for Latin American creators. We don't see much of that for Asian creators. We don't see much of that for Native creators. So just the things that we're trying to do for black people, we just have to do for everyone else as well. But I can only speak for what I know. I can't speak for other people. And I could even probably do better at seeking out some of these creators. I've done a little bit of research myself, but it's just hard to find because they're not being signal boosted as frequently. But if you ask around and do the research, you can find a lot of this stuff, and hopefully we can get some of those people to I have big respect for people who don't go along with whatever their team says or believes. I mean, I think everyone should think for themselves for sure, but that kind of language is kind of problematic for me sometimes, because sometimes what the team says is also right, and sometimes people want to discount you, and that's an example of a fallacy where people say that your argument is bad just because it's the same argument that a lot of people believe. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. Well, I've been lifting weights lately. I actually haven't been lifting weights, but I bought a set of resistance bands that I've been using. And it's a pretty good alternative to actual like dumbbells and barbells if you figure out the correct exercises. But I don't have a lot of space, and I'm not going out to gyms and stuff, so I think it's a really good solution. Even though I understand that highlighting black creators is important, it just feels weird to me to have a bunch of black creators on the front page because they're black. Kind of feels like tokenism. Well, I think that's different people have different views on that. I made a whole video about it. It's called diversity versus tokenism. Actually, that video is like very quickly becoming one of my, I think it's my second most viewed video on the channel right now. For some reason it is blowing up in the algorithm. I find that a lot of the younger black creators are more likely to think that's tokenism, but for me, I feel like if you're a minority or if you're a marginalized person, you should take advantage of things like that to increase your resources so that you can, you can further the cause in a way that works for you. In the video, I've mentioned times where people have come up to me, or I get involved in something and they come right out and say like, we like what you do, but we want to let you know that we're doing this because you're black and we want to boost black voices. And I'm like, fine, cool, let me let me increase my platform, let me increase my resources, that way my message gets spread further. Like, I feel like people should take advantage of that, even if it is tokenism. I feel like that's fine, and I think it's fine for people to do that, but it should be noted that not everybody disagrees. I also think that a lot of people, going back to just arguments online, I think a lot of people just confuse the fact that they disagree with something with the fact that the person that they disagree with is bad or made a bad argument. Like, sometimes you just disagree with stuff and that's fine. Resistance bands are good. I use a pull-up bar that's, yeah, I was thinking about getting a pull-up bar. I'm afraid that it's gonna break my shit though. I've always been like anxious about pull-up bars. I assume that they're made in a way to where that doesn't happen, but oh shit, well, Mars Bar said that it fell out and their cousin's elbow got dislocated, so it that's what I'm afraid of. What's up, Imran? So like I said, this is going to be a short stream, so probably only about 30 minutes more of the stream, and then we'll drop the video. Pull-up bars are really amazing. I mean, pull-ups are a really amazing exercise though. They're really hard to do. If you can do many pull-ups, that's a good indicator that you have some decent upper body strength. The video shouldn't have premiered yet if I did my settings correctly. But yeah, resistance bands are dope. And you can get a honestly, after a good workout with the resistance bands, I felt, just as much of a burn and just as much sweat as lifting weights, like with barbells and things like that. there are certain things that you can't really do with resistance bands. I think the most notable example is you can't do bench press with just resistance bands, because you need like you can't lay on flat ground and do a good bench press. So you would need like a bench, um, which takes up space. And kind of the whole point of resistance bands, or at least one of the main benefits, is that you don't need a lot of space. There are chest exercises, don't get me wrong, but bench press I think is sort of considered the best overall chest exercise, and you can't really do it with resistance bands. You can get bands at Walmart for dirt cheap. Yeah, I don't doubt it. I got some off online for maybe like 20 bucks, 25 bucks, something like that. And it's a set of like 5 or 6 bands with different weights of resistance. And you know, if you want more weight, you can use like more than one band at once. It like combines. It's pretty tight. Hey T1J, how can someone be less sad about relationships and girls? Less sad? Well, I don't know how old you are, but I don't think that's something you can just like snap and fix. And first of all, like it's okay to be sad about relationships. Like it's okay to have disappointment. You know, breakups are sad, rejection is sad. So it's like it's okay to be sad about it. The problem is when it gets toxic, when it starts affecting your view of like all women, or when it like affects your behavior, things like that. The thing you have to realize is there is billions of people on this planet, and you may be lucky enough to find yourselves in relationships or even in proximity to a small fraction of them. And if the one that you fancy doesn't end up fancying you, or the one that you start a relationship with and it doesn't work out, you know, that's the likely outcome. You know, you should be like, well, I got to live life and I got to have an experience and I got to meet somebody that I thought was cool, and that was a blessing, because there's just so many people on this earth. It's cool that if you even get to interact with any cool versions of it. But over time, the way that I think of things like this is it's just like any other skill. It just requires practice. So if you want to get better at handling rejection, then just practice. Trust me, if you keep trying to date, you'll probably deal with some rejection. That's just part of life. But if you practice, you know, centering yourself, taking care of yourself, and thinking, you know, rationally and not overly dramatically about things, you'll get better at it over time. And same thing with anything else. Maybe using the band on your back while doing push-ups is the best choice to bench press. Yeah, I think, you know, luckily you can still do push-ups, which is pretty good. But like it depends on what your goals are. Like if you're just trying to like work out for general fitness, maybe lose some pounds, you know, it's fine. But if you're trying to build like significant muscle volume, you need to like have you need to have a high amount of resistance, and you need to increase that resistance over time. So yeah, using the bands when doing push-ups would work. Do you think it'd be useful to have a black version of Dr. Nerdlove? I think his advice is great, but there may need to be a few nuanced points here and there for black viewers of his content. I mean, possibly. I mean, I would just have to see what that looks like in practice, but yeah, I don't see why not. Am I gay? No, I'm not gay. Have you ever had to deal with a woman who told you one thing, but they mean something else and they blame you for it. I think I've dealt with both men and women who do that. I think just humans just we have feelings-based brains. We don't often act rationally, and that applies to men, women, and anyone in between. This isn't professional advice. It may be kind of wishy-washy, but learning to treasure the platonic familial relationships you have helps to fill the void you may be feeling. Yeah, I mean, that's something that I probably should have added. Like, it helps to I don't know if it helps, but what I would say is that romantic and sexual relationships are not the entire point of being alive. And I think it is really important to try to internalize that there are a lot of other cool types of relationships. First of all, you can have very, very fulfilling friendships, very, very fulfilling relationships with family members. You do not have to go, drive yourself wild trying to find romantic relationships. There are other good relationships out there. You can pursue romantic relationships, but just keep in mind there are other cool things in life. And even outside of relationships, it doesn't have to be all about romance and sex. You can get lost in your work. You can get lost in hobbies. You can get lost in school. You can, there's so many things that you can focus your energy on that, to where you don't have to feel sad because one part of it isn't working out. I didn't see the leaked Coca-Cola racism sensitivity seminar. Sounds hilarious. It's actually Aromantic Awareness Week. I didn't know that. Yeah, and some people are aromantic and asexual, and it's important to recognize that that's a thing. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I suspect by asking that question, that means you're like pretty young. And as long as you keep a cool head, it will get better over time. I promise it will. Do I have a favorite brand of tea? Nope. I don't drink tea that much. The only tea that I drink is this sugar-free iced tea powder mix that I just mix with a big jug of water. And I think that I don't even know what the brand is. Do I ever listen to classical music? Not a lot. Well, not really at all. Sometimes I listen to classical music when it's on NPR, but usually by the time classical music comes on NPR on the radio, I just switch the station to like classic rock or something. I'm 25. Is that young? I would say that's young, but maybe not other people. But I think that age fits the question that you asked. I think that I had similar feelings like that maybe until like 28 or 29. Not to say that you should expect that to go away by 28 or 29, but I'm saying it makes sense to me. Like it peaked for me in college. So when I was like 18 to 23, 24, I was always fucking sad about girls, like every day. And I just over time, I internalized that, hey, this is not the only thing in the world. There's other things to be happy about. And also, I don't want to say this is your thing, but what I realized for me is that being sad all the time and because of that sadness, I had bad ideas about women. And I mean, I think a lot of it was, you know, borderline misogyny, if not actual misogyny. Basically this idea is like, oh, women are all the same, they only want X, women do this, and you got to do this if you want to get women. And the combination of that and just being like this pathetic sad person all the time, that is not attractive to women, it turns out. So it's a cycle. So if the problem is you're not getting the attention from women that you want, and you react to it by being a jackass, that's going to result in you not getting attention from women, and it's a cycle. I don't know if that's your problem, but that was a big part of my problem. Was I an incel? Kinda. I guess you could say that. I've said this before, but I was lucky enough that I grew up before social media was like a huge thing. Like Facebook existed, I think Reddit existed, but it wasn't like a big thing. But like if I grew up in this day and era, like if I was in my 20s today, I very easily could have fell into some kind of incel community on Reddit. 100% that could have happened to me. So I'm a bit lucky that I didn't have this online community that validated my toxic beliefs, and I was able to sort of think about it on my own and come out of it. But I was somewhat of an, I guess I was an incel. I wasn't a virgin, but there was a period where I could be considered an incel for sure. Do you think marriage is worth it for the tax deductions? Well, I don't know because I'm not married, and I've talked to some married people that say that that the tax deductions are not all that they're cracked up to be. In fact, some married people I've talked to said that their taxes have gone up somehow. It could be because of the combined income has gone up. But I don't know, like in theory, it seems like the tax deductions are good. Do I think Alabama could turn blue like Georgia did? Could they? I mean, I guess they could. Is it likely? I don't think so. I do think that Alabama is probably more far gone than Kentucky is, but I'm maybe wrong about that. But Alabama, like for example, Alabama, I think even today still has the highest percentage of support for Donald Trump out of all the states. On a random note, what's your favorite fruit? Probably either pears or pineapples. What's up, Consabar? I was an incel, but with a positive outlook. I was too busy playing video games in my youth to care about the girls that liked me. Yeah, I mean, it was for me. It was just me sort of ignoring all those other things that I enjoyed. I played a lot of video games. I had a lot of really great friends, but at the time, I just felt like they were less important than my quest for sex and romance. But that's the thing that I worked on too, as I was mentioning before, is realizing that I had all these great relationships already that weren't romantic or sexual, but they were still fulfilling and great. Yeah, I love pears. Pears are amazing. What specifically got me out of the incel mentality? I think it was a combination of a lot of stuff. Because the incel mentality, I think, is a byproduct of just an overall bad attitude about people and women and things like that. And I talked about it in a couple videos where at some point in my life I just had kind of like an epiphany about basically sort of like getting over yourself and just realizing like you can't just do whatever you want and act however you want and expect everyone to just be okay with that and still do whatever you want and still be in your life and still have relationships with you. Like, if you want things to work out in your life, you have to put effort. If you want relationships to work, you have to put effort. You can't just take everything for granted and then be sad if it goes away. And that definitely applies to romantic relationships, but it also applies to a lot of other things. And that was just sort of an epiphany that I had at some point, maybe of like age 24-ish, 25. And obviously I didn't perfect it as soon as I had that epiphany. I still had to work on it. But that was kind of the turning point. And it was sparked by some things happening to me, like some people that I liked, I wanted in my life, but I didn't act like I wanted them in my life. I didn't show any appreciation for them. I wasn't that nice to them. But I'm sitting here sad that they eventually were like, yeah, I'm out. And I was like, well, I can't be sad. It's my fault. And that just kind of hit me. Do you think that the quest for romance comes from the TV we as young men consume? I mean, media is a big part of it, but I think it's just a part of our society. Like, most of the adult men in my life were always talking about, got to get you a girl, got to get married, talking about courtship, this is how you treat a woman, friends at school and stuff. They're like, oh, if you like her, then go talk to her, like it's your right as a man to have a girlfriend. It's just this idea that is just spread throughout society. Maybe it's because of media, but I think it's just we're conditioned in that way in from so many angles. But I mean, media definitely has a lot to do with it. I talk about that a little bit in my video called Straight Dude Logic. Isn't the evil women mindset similar in self-victimization, like the we can't say anything anymore conservatives? How do you get people out of this? Well, I don't know how you specifically get people out of it, but the only thing that I know to do is just to spread good ideas to counter the bad ideas and hope that the good ideas are more persuasive than the bad ideas. And I've found that in a lot of cases they are. Because a lot of times it's not like people being malicious, just people have never thought about things in a certain way. So if you give them the opportunity to think about things in a different way, they might realize how their previous beliefs were a little bit weird. What do you think about how it's the norm for guys to ask girls out in hetero relationships? I mean, I think that just goes back to the way that our societies have been formed over time, and the way that gender roles, the way that we've been conditioned to perform gender roles. Men are the aggressors, they're the assertive ones, they're the initiators. And over time, women as a whole have kind of accepted that in many societies, but it's changing for sure. I mean, these days, I feel like if you do a poll, and this poll might exist, I'd like to look it up, but I think if you do a poll, like use America for example, if you just poll, every woman in America, or just a sample of 1,000, 10,000 women in America, and you ask them how many of them have asked a guy out, it'd probably be like 90%, 80%, especially under a certain age. Can I name some resources to help challenge that straight dude logic from that point of view? I don't know about that many resources that specifically talk about that, but I think just like positive non-toxic men just in general. The only thing I can think of is who was mentioned earlier is Dr. Nerdlove, who has a blog and a YouTube channel specifically about dating for men, but it's very non-toxic, and it's very like in line with just like progressive social ideas. There definitely needs to be more of it though, and if there are more, I would love to hear about them. What's up, Xavier? Have I seen Contrapoint's video on J.K. Rowling? I have not finished it. I'm like 20 minutes into it. These videos are so long these days that I watch them in pieces. And then I have to watch Lindsay Ellis's video too. Oh yeah, Healthy Gamer GG Dr. K. I think that's another one. His content is not specifically about relationships, but he does cover it a lot. Yeah, Dr. K, who has the channel Healthy Gamer GG, is he's like I think he's a working psychiatrist. So he talks about a lot of these things from an actual sort of academic point of view. He's also, I believe, a Hindu, or at least he took a long time to study Hindu. So he also talks about it from that point of view, which is less interesting to me, but it might be interesting to other people. I don't think it like ruins the message or anything. But he's also like, I really like the way that he interacts with people, and I really like the way he talks about things. And there are things that I'm trying to like incorporate into my own way of speaking, just based on watching his stuff. Particularly the way that he speaks with like zero judgment of people ever. Like it's really inspiring to me. Like And I think that he's just practiced it because he's a psychiatrist. But you know, he does a lot of interviews with people, and a lot of times he'll interview people that got some issues, some real issues, but he speaks with like absolutely zero judgment. Men's Lib is a good subreddit for exploring how to build a healthy masculinity. I think that Men's Lib has like shared some of my videos, but I haven't really checked out the subreddit, so I can't vouch for that, but they like my stuff, so maybe they've got good taste. I don't know. Yeah, Dr. K. What Christian ideals made you turn to atheism, and how was the transition as a whole? I don't think any specific ideals. I mean, there's like a bunch of weird things, at least in the way that I was taught Christianity, that never sat right with me. You know, like for example, the idea of eternal punishment seems a bit much for almost any crime. But what made me turn to atheism is not necessarily the ideals. It's the idea that like faith is basically required, and that just was not enough for me. Like I have a very sort of like evidence-based mindset and rational thinking type of mindset, and you know, there are apologists who try to break down Christianity and religion in a rational way, but ultimately at the end you always turn back to faith that there is this God guy out there, and you just kind of have faith that he's there and that he exists and that he cares and that he has all these great powers and all this shit. And that just wasn't really good enough for me. Also, I mean, it's you know, it's a discussion that's been had for centuries, if not millennia. I just really feel like the problem of suffering really disqualifies the idea that there is some kind of all-powerful, benevolent God out there. Like, it just is completely inconsistent. I've ever tried therapy. I actually haven't, but I probably should. If you believe anyone who has done wrong in the world deserves another chance to prove they have changed for the better, I think that, yeah, I think most people deserve a shot at redemption, but that doesn't mean that everyone is required to you know, forgive them or give them everything that they need. Like, you know, if there's a guy who murdered someone's mom, that person doesn't have to forgive them, but I think society as a whole should give them a chance for redemption. They may not like get to go back to their job, they may not get to do all the things that they had before, but I think they should still be given a chance to redeem themselves. Okay, so we're gonna end the stream here in a couple minutes, and if I have set this up correctly, the stream should automatically refresh into the premiere of my new video. I believe that I set it up to do that. If it doesn't, then you'll just have to go over to my channel and watch the premiere. But yeah, we'll do that in about 2 minutes, maybe like 3 minutes, because it's supposed to premiere at 7, so we'll give it a couple minutes. I've never done this before, so who knows if it even works. But it's an option, and so I'm trying it. see how that works. So yeah, we've got about 2 minutes. Pretty good conversation for only an hour of streaming. And yeah, make sure you go watch the video. You can click the like button, do all the sharing and all that shit. Watch it a couple times if you want. Do you think the light-dark dichotomy, like in Star Wars, dark evil, light good, is racist? No, I don't think it's racist. I don't think that the darkness is a reference to dark people. I mean, it just kind of goes back to just anything. Like nighttime is scarier than daytime. Darkness is mysterious and makes you unsure. I don't think it has anything to do with race. I've heard that argument before. I think it's a bit of a stretch. Hopefully I will stream again on Monday. Honestly, like my goal is to stream every Monday and Friday, but I just often don't do it for various reasons. Sometimes I'm busy, sometimes I'm, sometimes I just don't feel like it. Sometimes there's technical issues, but that's the goal, is to stream every Monday and Friday. All right, I am going to end the stream. Hopefully it sends you guys over to the premiere. If not, just head over to my channel and watch the new video, or you can just come back and watch it later, but it will be released at 7 p.m. Anyway, thank you for checking out the stream as always. Actually, if the premiere works, I might be able to join there should be a chat while you watch the premiere, so I may be able to hop in that chat, but I will be stopping streaming right now. So y'all have a good one, and I hope you enjoy the video.